Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we are looking at IonQ. It is time for another update, and this stock seems to be a leader in the sector when it comes to the reversal we have so far formed to the upside across all of the quantum computing stocks we have been tracking so far. And we have large footprints of institutions stepping in, buying, accumulating this stock. We have a complete three-wave correction, and we have a lot of potential still in place. So today we will of course be looking at the structure that can still be tracked on this chart, because the overall chart is nowhere near perfect. We will be looking at the next levels of resistance to watch out for. We will be looking at the internal structure and the levels of support we can track. And of course, we will do all of that after we provide the context, after we check out the larger time frame. So here we have been tracking a few ideas previously, and primarily we would have liked to see an impulse to be information. This was a possibility since within the wave 1 we had available a leading diagonal that could have been tracked in this area in one count or the other. We had a pretty decent wave 2 correction, and we had a pretty nice 5-wave move to the upside, only if we would have managed to form the last extension to higher prices to complete the 5-wave pattern within the wave 5. But since this has failed, we have broken below our last level of support down to the 61.8% retracement. We have to readjust our expectations for this chart, our count for this chart, and we need to be prepared for a higher potential overall within this wave 3, but at the same time for a much less reliable structure within the larger time frame. So what am I talking about? Well, we did not get this last extension within this wave 5 to the upside, right? We needed this to have an ending diagonal complete within the wave 5, as we wouldn't have been able to track anything else. This wasn't going to work out as an impulse, and we only had 3 waves complete so far. And you may be thinking that, yeah, sure, but we can track this wave 3 to have topped here instead, this to have been a wave 4 bottom, and then this wave 5 could have actually topped here. Well, I would strongly disagree, because this supposed wave 5 is looking a bit too much like a 5-wave pattern for an ending diagonal. Yeah, within an ending diagonal, we would expect to have a 3-wave pattern within each of these subwaves, not what we have within this as a wave 5, which is quite clearly an impulse. So we need to consider that instead of having this as an impulse overall, we would have had this either as an ending diagonal within what could be a wave C, right? Or within a leading diagonal, which would allow further extensions within this wave 3 to the upside. So I would instead be tracking 2 main scenarios. We will focus of course on the bullish scenario as long as we hold the levels of support, but here I would be watching instead for this to have been a wave A up, a B wave down would currently be in play, and a wave C would be expected to take us to new all-time highs. Ultimately, if this pattern succeeds, we would be looking at much higher prices within this entire structure to the upside. The problem is just how reliable of a pattern can this really be. So we will have to take it level by level, trust it a lot less, and focus on a smaller time frame, which in turn gives us even less trust. But this is what we have to deal with, because other than this, what I can track this structure as is rather an A, B, C pattern, which would be complete, doesn't need any further extensions, and could allow even a complete failure of this chart, could allow this to have been, let's say, a corrective pattern rather than part of a larger leading diagonal, and could lead us to new all-time lows. This is not a pattern we want to track. This is not a pattern that would provide us a clearly defined opportunity later, but this is what we have at play. And technically, again, we could perhaps look out for this to still work out as a 3-wave move to the upside. We could still maybe allow for this wave 3 to have topped here, allow this to be a wave 4, but it's not ideal. Ultimately, it's not going to provide the probabilities, the trust we would be looking for an additional couple of reasons. So within this wave 2, we already have a much larger correction in place compared to what would be internally within this as a wave 4. Secondly, we didn't reach the ideal target within the wave 3, if this were to be the wave 3 itself. We did get quite close to it, but we didn't quite get there, have we? So I would rather track a less reliable structure and be more mindful of the risk itself. I would instead track these scenarios, which would allow me to look for a pretty large area of support, albeit down to the 78.6% retracement, where already we have gotten into the support zone, right? This was starting at the 38.2% retracement, the $31 level. We have even gotten an initial nice reaction from this area, but now we even have a complete 3-wave pattern in this structure, which allows us to look for the reversal to new all-time highs already. So I would have here this as an A wave down, a B wave up, and a C wave to the downside. Overall, it's a very similar structure with what we have on most of the other quantum computing stocks. Yeah, I'm thinking more particularly of the D-Wave quantum chart, perhaps not as similar with what we have on the quantum computing chart, but nonetheless, the wave C clearly has 5 waves in place. We have formed a very nice reversal to the upside. We have nearly taken out the wave 4 swing high, and we are looking for extensions to even higher prices. So, what would we be watching in terms of resistance? Well, I would consider the possibility of this being a larger 5-wave move to the downside. I would be watching for the possibility of this being an A, B, C structure, which allows me to look for internal levels of resistance up to the 78.6% retracement. And let's say we track this in orange. So we would have resistance up to the $47.4 level, where so far we have nearly gotten to the 61.8% retracement, where we have additional structural resistance, right? This push to the upside into this level triggered the extension to even lower prices. The same way, we could be looking for this movement to the upside to find it more difficult to get through this level. And this doesn't mean we need to extend to lower prices from these levels, but a correction might actually be required before mastering the strength to get past this resistance level, right? So, internally, within this structure, I would be watching for the possibility of a leading diagonal. I always want to find this pattern if I am able to, so I would be tracking this as long as it is possible, at least since the idea of an impulse is not something we can really trust in this structure, since quite clearly we only have 3 waves within several of these structures actually. I would have a couple of options at this point. I could track this to have been the wave 1 to the upside within something like an A, B, C pattern. This could work out, and then this would be our wave 2 down, and the wave 3 would be currently ongoing. Within this wave 3, we would expect to build a 3-wave pattern. I could track this as something like an A wave up, B wave down here, a very small one, and a wave C that could extend even higher still. The structure itself might still be able to extend even higher. I cannot tell that within such a small time frame. We can take a brief look, but it's not going to be a clear structure. And in terms of ultimate support, for this structure to still be able to form the wave 4 and the wave 5, I would need to assume that a top would be in place, because, again, if we extend higher, sure, we can adjust the area of support, but given the current top within the structure we have in place, even if I prefer to extend higher, I would need to watch as low as $32.3 for a larger wave 4 correction. Now, internally in this structure, I would be looking for this to be forming ideally one more high within this wave C to the upside, because again, I would focus on the idea of an A, B, C structure. I wouldn't generally overthink the pattern. Ultimately, I can see quite strong extensions even beyond what we have here on this chart, but I do not want to get ahead of our structure, ahead of ourselves, because ultimately it is still within a very small time frame and the structure is still fragile. And even though we have formed the reversal and a few nice green candles, we have no confirmation that a bottom is in place. That would only come after we get our initial 5-wave move to the upside. So I would be looking for this wave C to extend within at least one more high. I would track an internal 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And within this structure, I would expect more of a wave 4 correction. I'm not necessarily satisfied with what is currently in place, but once we have it, I would be looking for a wave 5, and then I would be looking for a potential top within this as a wave 3. Clearly, the structure itself can form a larger A, B, C pattern. There are many options in which we could track this pattern, but this is what I believe the most lucrative at the moment. So, for a recap, on this chart, we do not have on the larger time frame a reliable pattern. This is a complete 3-wave move to the upside. We do not even have this to be suggestive of a wave 3. We have a 3-wave correction that is potentially complete, doesn't actually need any further extensions for the count to be full. We have pushed into the area of support, and given that this would work out still within an extension of the larger wave 3, well, we could be looking for substantial upside. The ideal target, in fact, for such a wave C would be the 100% extension of the wave A, which currently sits around $350 if I'm not mistaken, if I didn't draw this wrong. But yeah, around $350 would be the ideal target for this as a wave C. Although that comes with the mention that it is an ideal target, it doesn't need to get there. Overall, this pattern, this extension to new all-time highs is not necessary for the larger structure we have on this chart. And within a smaller time frame, even though we have had a very nice reversal, so far there is no confirmation of a bottom being in place. We still do not have the initial 5-wave move to the upside. We still need to be extremely careful within this area. And for now, there really isn't much else to add. I would also be watching, however, the relevant levels of resistance, structural resistance, between the 61.8% retracement, the $41.6, we did mention this one already, up to the 78.6% retracement, where we have formed these significant tops previously that have been a struggle to get through. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, check out our channel membership. And as a thank you for any of these actions, I would like to invite you to sign up to our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks, where we identify for you high quality structures. Other than that, let me know what else you'd like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I wish you a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.